My name is Kevin Zermelan. This is my wife, Kristen. We came to Whitesburg Baptist Church in 2002 when we moved here with the Army to Redstone Arsenal. Huntsville's become our home. We've been here ever since and have been at the church ever since. I've been affiliated with the Army since 1986, 4 years at West Point, 20 years on active duty flying helicopters and doing missile defense and aviation program management. Retired in 2010 and then immediately took on a job with Department of the Army as a senior leader civilian, and have been doing that for the past 10 years. I guess probably about 4 or 5 years ago, Kristen and I were watching a very popular British baking show that was on at the time. I like trying new things, I like doing new things, and I thought, hey, I wonder if I could do that. I'd never really baked before, so I started baking here out of our kitchen and realized I really enjoyed it. It was kind of cathartic. It was very therapeutic. I enjoyed going in, taking something from scratch and then making something out of it that was actually presentable and halfway decently tasted good. I was presented with the opportunity to go to culinary school and complete a degree and get certification as a pastry chef in pastry arts. And about that time, other things started happening where people were saying, wouldn't it be good if you opened a bakery? Wouldn't it be good? Have you ever sold your product before? Is it something you had considered? And after about one of those third iteration probably of things just starting to gel together, Kristen looked at me one night and said, is God trying to do something with this? My response was no. I've been with the Army since 1986. I'm halfway through the second career with the Army. Why would I quit now? We're on a glide path. We're comfortable, we're coasting towards the end. But what if God is trying to do something with this idea? What are we gonna do with it? What would the next step be?
This has changed my perspective because in the military, we had a constant. We knew there was always going to be a payday, there was job security, things like that. We've always depended upon God. He's always been a part of our life, you know, growing up in our marriage and things like that. But I think there was a little bit where we maybe depended on the Army too much. So we are stepping out here on major faith, and we are leaving our comfort zone big time to not just be with our friends or just people who are like-minded and think just like us, but we now have this opportunity to reach out to a whole population here of Huntsville. And so we're hoping they'll come in that coming in to get these good tasting pastries, we'll be able to somehow be able to share what God has done in our lives and point them towards Jesus.
There are times where we look at each other and go,
this is crazy.
what are we doing? But God's been so faithful all the way through the 34 years with the Army that if He's calling us to go in this direction, we feel like we have the obligation. We feel like we need to step out in faith and obey what it is that He's calling us to do. The definition of success as we go forward is not whether or not this bakery is successful. We have a lot of people coming through the door, we're selling a lot of product, we're making a lot of money. That's not the definition of success. The definition of success for God, because He's a personal God, is that He wants me to obey Him. And that I don't have to know what the end result is going to be. Kevin would like that. I would love to know what the final plan looks like, and so would Kristen. It says in Matthew that we're supposed to live our days one day at a time. Don't worry about tomorrow. Today has enough worries of its own. And it turns out that's true. So we're trying to approach this one day at a time, one issue at a time. And every single time we come up against an obstacle or something that's going to hold us back, or it looks like it might result in something that's not positive for us, we have a responsibility, and now I have a need, I have a desire to then immediately turn to God and say, all right, God, this is the direction you want us to go in. Here's our obstacle. What can we do about it? He's faithful when we do that. He's faithful when we do that. How can you use a bakery for God's glory? I don't know yet. I don't know, but I know it's going to be. Is He going to use it? I'm confident that He is going to, or He wouldn't have taken us down this path. I don't know if we're going to be successful as a bakery, but I want to be successful in my walk with Christ by obeying Him when I need to, as I need to, on a daily basis. And I think that's really important as we live in a world that we live in right now, where our society and our culture is so divisive. Is God calling you to go do something that's going to help show His love to a community that absolutely needs it? If the answer is yes, what are your next steps?